everybody. It's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today we are doing a review, recap, whatever, of last night's Masterchef episode, Season 14, Episode 7. And it's called, the Los Angeles soccer team, I don't know what they are, but they're it was a field challenge, so it was a group challenge. So you have, just about the whole groups, 4 groups there. Only 2 people have gone so far because it's so early in the season. So 4 teams, and Anna, the winner of last week's immunity challenge, is her task is to put 2 teams together on each side. So one's going to be God bless it. 2 of the teams are the red side, and 2 of the teams will be the blue side. So, of course, she's going to be pairing herself up with somebody. She chooses the boomers, because, for one thing, she and her team, the millennials, and the Xers are down 2 people. So they both have 4 people. That's what she said. So it wouldn't be, she didn't think it would be good to have just 2 short teams together. So she chose to be with the boomers, who had everybody, and then they have 4, and then the other team would have everybody and 4. So their task, it's pretty big. I don't know if they've made this many in a while, dinners or lunches or whatever it is, depending on the task. They're making dinners for this night's challenge, and they have to make 101. So it's for coaches and players and other VIPs. That's what they said. And their task is to make like a meat, a sauce, a side vegetable dish, and a starch. Go ahead, Marco.
Well, I would just say that this was an unpleasant episode. At least, it's just the fact that both teams were terrible. Both leaders were terrible. I mean, these are some of the worst team leaders that we've seen in a while, I would say. And because also the whole episode, it kind of seemed like one team would lose, but then that team won somehow, and that was kind of weird. But it was just overall a very negative episode, because both teams were so terrible. There was a lot of generation bashing too, which really took out of it, because it was just really queer. Safi has all the quotes, and
I have one big one, and we've already said at the very onset that we did not appreciate or like or care about the generations, even though I'm a boomer person. Marco's a Gen Z. But it's really, in the end, it's going to be all about the cooking, and who cooks the better or does the better under a stressful situation. It's not going to matter what generation they're from, I don't think. So I just wanted to point out, and I had to watch it again because it went by so quick. And it's merch from Gen Z. And what happened is Anna, who, she picked the boomers, I said, and the millennials to be together. And so it was the other 2 teams would be the other side. So he said, well, I think it's a bad choice for her to pick the boomers, because you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I just thought that was the most ignorant and stupid thing to say. And who in the heck does he think he is?
It's a stupid thing to say because, It doesn't even make any sense in this context.
And it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
I said, it's who, especially this. I mean, they had to make over 100 dinners. And Joe made this emphasis. They had to be, quote, elegant. He said the word in his instructions, dinners. And like,
And
really?
let's talk about the two worst people in the episode. I would say, overall, the two worst people, actually three. One of them would be...
Rebecca.
No, well, first I was going to say, what was that? The older woman with the meatloaf?
Rebecca.
Oh, that's her. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Rebecca was horrible. She was
couldn't stand her.
awful.
She was bossy, opinionated, pushy, and
Get her off the show immediately.
She actually said they made fish. They made halibut, which, you gotta think, this is L.A. too. So, they're talking about L.A. and it's a world. These are people from all over the world. This just isn't people from the United States. These soccer players are from everywhere. And that was probably the majority of the dinner guests. And then the other team, I'm just pointing out the meats. The other team made steak. Okay, so anyway, but Marco will go on about what the specifics are, but at one point into the cooking where it's almost time for these people to come out in the field and get their meal, Gordon kept telling them what to do with the fish because they kept effing it up. And then, of course, the other side, I'm not saying they kept screwing it up too. I don't know, and I don't know why. Maybe he knows better. I watched it and I thought about it, and I still don't understand what happened.
She was also cutting up portions in half. So they gave her 100 fish fillets, and she was saying, okay, I'm going to cut these in half.
Why?
At these tiny little portions. Such a waste of food.
It looked like an hors d'oeuvre.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that is some classic Safi.
No, I would never do that. I thought that was idiotic. And he walked over there, Gordon did, and said, what are you doing? You can't make... And even... Now, Anna, they picked her to be the team captain. And she even thought they were too small. But Rebecca wouldn't listen to her. That was the thing.
Yeah.
She was being very opinionated. And at one point, like I said, I don't know what it was. Maybe Marco remembers. Gordon said something about because what happened is it was undercooked. The fish was they had to give. They do this in every group challenge. They have to show in 10 minutes.
Yeah, she was complaining that Anna was not asking her to do anything, to give her any fish. She was like, I have fish. You want fish? You want fish? And then finally Anna asked for the fish, and she put it up there, and it was raw. So it was like, oh, you were standing there for 3 minutes pretending like it was ready, and the captain's terrible because she's not doing it how you would do it. And it's like, no, you suck.
She was horrible, and I hope she goes home.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's just so pushy, opinionated, a know-it-all, and yeah, she's a boomer, but that doesn't mean she wasn't the team captain. She had no right to be that way.
And on the second worst person would also be Anna. I thought if you liked her, this episode kind of it's like there's a fire and you put cold water on it or something, or you cover it with whatever to suck the oxygen out, because Anna was terrible. She was very, very. She was not a good captain in any way, shape, or form, and it made me think like, okay, she's not going to win the season because this was a terrible performance. She was treating it like, I don't know, just not like a team challenge. She was treating it more like a solo type of thing, in a way, because it was all about her showing off and making every dish a Michelin star dish.
And Joe even said that too.
It wasn't a good thing. So
he said it wasn't a good thing either, and that they couldn't do that. They couldn't. But he's the one that said in the beginning. I think they've done this before, where they'll say something and then when everybody tries to do it what they said, then they get mad about it. Or in this case, it really wasn't wise to do that. They didn't have the time. And you know what it ended up, though? It ended up that almost all of them were cooking the fish, which I didn't get at all. I guess everything else was done and getting out. Okay, I mean, cause there was no complaints about any of the other.
I thought it was funny that Fatima did a really good job.
Well, if she was making the polenta, some people did say it didn't have enough seasoning. But
but the judges said it tasted really good at first, so...
Right. No, there was no other complaints about any of their other food.
Yeah.
And there wasn't, I think actually on the other team there were no other complaints about what they cooked too. It was just about the meat on both teams, actually.
On the other team, though, I did not like the captain either.
No, it was...
I can't remember her name.
Is her name?
Becca?
Well, I was going to say her.
I thought it was Becca, so
yeah.
I didn't like her either. I thought she's really bratty. I don't like her attitude at all. She's another one
Becca.
I'm not rooting for.
That's right.
So it's like, I don't know who to root for now except for Adam, because Adam was like the best person in the episode because he did screw up and he didn't do a good job cooking the steaks, but at the end of the episode, he took accountability.
Yeah, he owned up to it, and he, I don't understand what happened. First, he was starting to cook it. They weren't cooked. They were, they were overcooked, or they weren't cooked long enough. They were rare. And I was surprised because he's the one, works on a dude ranch. He does this all the time, cooks huge group meals. So maybe they don't have steak a lot. I don't know. I was just shocked. So then this other guy, what's his name? Chris, from the Xers, he joined them. And he says before he starts, well, I cook steak once a week at home for my family, so I should be able to do this perfectly or something like. I'm like, this isn't just, unless you have over 100 people in your family, this isn't the same thing. I mean,
it could be a cult, like instead, like a family is an occult family. So
yeah, but he was talking about, who knows, 4 people or something. Who knows? But still, he didn't know what he was doing, and so they're both. So they had a lot of trouble, and so it was kind of like actually between the two.
But
teams.
They had the better dish, and the judges even made the point to say that they had the bigger advantage because they had the better dish, but also the easier dish to screw up.
Yeah, and it's funny because last year, in the Masterchef season, I think it was their first group challenge. Remember, they had those pork chops, and they were huge and thick, and they had the best barbecue person cook them, and he couldn't do it. And remember, he ended up going home because they weren't cooked right, and they couldn't get nobody on the team could get it right because you couldn't get that right at home if you were cooking that for your family. I mean, it's a very difficult meat to cook. It's just, to barbecue it because also we've had experience with this. If the air outside, if it's windy or a little bit cold or something, it has an effect on the cooking, a negative effect. So anyway, but it's the same thing. It's the same as last year. They're the same thing, and they tried and tried. They either would get it too rare, or they would overcook it. In fact, Gordon did his little thing, and they showed this in the before the show.
Kicking the meat like a soccer ball.
Yeah, which is like, and I was wondering which one is he going to kick? And I think he couldn't do that to the fish because that would probably fall apart all over the place. So.
I thought that the funniest. What's that? I thought that the funniest part of the episode was cornhole because they showed her a couple of times.
Yeah, he did.
And she had this hilarious part where she said, like, I thought we got off to a good start.
Well, she ended up joining them and cooking the steaks, and she couldn't do it either after saying, well, I'm from the South, and we cook this all the time. I'm like, oh, God.
She's too busy playing cornhole.
Yeah, I don't get if they're competing all the time with cornhole, and which involves traveling. How does she have the time to cook anything? But, that's neither here nor there. We'll see what happens with her. She's actually I don't know. I think she's either a Gen Z or I think she's a Gen Z. So anyway, I was kind of surprised about that. But anyway, they just had...
And they just randomly showed her, too.
Yeah, but she still managed to get 3 separate quotes in there. I saw her. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. They haven't really showed her saying a word or even what she's cooking all the way up until now. Now they finally do.
So I give this episode a B-. The blue team ended up losing, and I was really, I guess, kind of relieved about that, because the whole episode you had this kind of negative feeling that the red team would lose, and then Anna wouldn't go home because she's the captain and she had immunity. So I was kind of glad that didn't happen, because that would have been kind of like the dark ending.
Yeah, and that's, I don't remember it like that before, but, that was emphasized a lot by her and the judges to her face in front of everybody on camera that, you have immunity, and you wouldn't want it to where you would have immunity and somebody on your team went home.
But that could happen, so...
I know.
It's happened before.
Yeah. I don't remember it, but... Maybe because it wasn't emphasized so much. And she said that too privately, like near the beginning when she was getting frazzled. You could tell she was frazzled, and that's what made her gave it herself like a negative view because of her, because she was so frazzled. She was just like, and she said, I don't know if I could do this. This is because she said, we have so many very strong people here, and they have strong opinions. And, she's talking about Rebecca, because Rebecca wouldn't keep her... both of them. I guess we have a boomer and a Gen Z named Rebecca or Becca, and they're both loud and kind of obnoxious. The boomer one was, really, I don't like her. I just couldn't stand the way she acted. And, we have our own way of doing things, that doesn't matter when you're on a team. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, for the outcome, Marco just said what it was, and that the honest team, the red team, won. But they will be, next week they're going to be making cakes. And apparently because their team won, and she was the team captain. The team captain.
The team captain?
She will get to decide, she will get some advantage, and I have a feeling, because I think they did this last year, either for the kids or for the adults, where they had to each make a cake, and she'll probably have to choose the kind of cake that the people will have to make.
I want the dirt guy to have to cook the hardest cake like the Ohio guy had to do last year, remember?
Yeah.
When he had to make the opera cake. I'd like for Dirt to make the opera cake.
Merch?
Dirt.
I thought it was Merch.
It's Dirt.
I don't know what his name is, but he's a jackass. So anyway, I don't know. I guess the one thing I did like was that the guy, the cowboy, I just call him the cowboy guy. I guess it's Adam, right? How he took responsibility, and Marco already mentioned that. But I just thought, he's the youngest one there. And I just thought that was really very big of him and very grown up of him.
But it was kind of worrisome because on MasterChef or Hell's Kitchen, whenever you take accountability, Gordon takes it as a sign that you want to get sent home or some shit. I think that's a
sign of weakness. Well,
what?
I can see Gordon thinking it's a sign of weakness. But also, I think it
It's
gets
not.
mad. I think too. He gets mad when they don't take accountability.
Yeah,
So it's really weird.
it's like there's no
it's,
winning.
Yeah, I was going to say you're
So
between
I was-
a rock and a hard place.
I was worried because, Adam, I guess it's because the other guy took over halfway through.
Yeah, and he did. He kind of just pushed himself over there, and just because, like I said, he cooked steak for his family, it is not the same thing. And that's why I thought Adam would be perfect for this, because he is used to every day of his life cooking for huge groups of people, which none of the other people in any of these groups have this experience. So he does. It's an everyday experience. It's not once a week cooking steak for his family, and this guy acted like he knew everything. Well, he didn't help at all. So anyway, I didn't care for it, and I can't stand the episode. I'll give it a C, but I can't stand it when he gets the food. Joe does it too. I don't think I've ever seen a Roan do anything like this, where they kick the food out of there, or they throw it against the wall, or they throw the plate in the trash can. A Roan is, if he hasn't liked something, he's said, this just doesn't go well together, or say, but he might say something negative, but he's never, this thing about throwing and kicking the food, I don't like it. I think it's childish. So maybe he's doing it for the TV, or maybe he's just really pissed off. I don't know, but I don't like when Gordon or Joe does that. So anyway, so that's it. There's nothing really else to say, except if you want to become one of our subscribers, you're welcome, and give this video a thumbs up. And goodbye, everybody.
Bye!